Number one safety in the country. What was it about Alabama?
LSU Tigers, number one. Go Tigers.
In the next 4 years, I'm going to Denver University.
Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977. Now, here's D Squared.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wednesday edition on this wet Wednesday. Cold out there. Stay warm, stay dry here in the Rocket City of Huntsville, Alabama. This is the Blitz Sports Radio, the streaming channel. Of course, our sister station being ESPN 97.7 The Zone. You just heard, if you're on ESPN 97.7 The Zone, Scott Tyson and I bring you Talking Ball. And what a great conversation we had with Jamil Muhammad, former student athlete in our community. At James Clemens High School for a good friend, Wade Waldrop, who is now the head football coach of the Hoover Bucks, and led his team in his first season at Hoover to a state semifinal, losing to eventual state champion Thompson after beating them and winning the region championship, the 7A Region 3 title during the regular season. So a great first year at Hoover for Wade Waldrop. Did such an outstanding job for nearly a decade at James Clemens. Jamil Muhammad being a dual-threat quarterback for him, signing with Vanderbilt, then transferring to Georgia State, and then becoming a all-Sun Belt Conference outside linebacker for the last 2 years, and now being a graduate of Georgia State University, about to graduate, and now has 2 years of eligibility left, does Jamil. And he will be heading to USC to play for Lincoln Riley and Alex Grinch and be a part of the Trojans program that nearly made the college football playoff, nearly won the Pac-12 championship in year one under Lincoln Riley. But certainly Jamil's going to take his talents out there and trying to reach the NFL. Well-spoken young man, did the job in the classroom and on the field at Georgia State, ended up as an all-Sun Belt Conference academic honor roll, Dean's List young man. So he certainly did things the right way, both on and off the field, and we wish him nothing but the best. It was great to catch up with him. If you missed that interview, it will be on our SoundCloud page, and you can catch up and then get a chance to hear from Jamil Muhammad, an outstanding student athlete. And it was fascinating just to hear the process that you have to go through to get into the transfer portal, the forms you have to fill out, you have to meet with your position coach, meet with the head coach, of course, the athletic director, before you can be declared to be in the portal. And then as soon as you're in the portal, release the hounds. And certainly Jamil had several offers from Power 5 institutions, had probably at least 8. Went on an official visit this past weekend, flew out to Southern California, he and his family, and were able to visit the Trojans, visit with Lincoln Riley, and he came back from that visit and committed and has now shut down his recruiting process. So he will be transferring to Southern California. Good luck to Jamil as he looks to try to help the Trojans win a national championship under Lincoln Riley, and then and also reach the NFL and become yet another like the Monty Rices of the world. LeBron Ray trying to establish himself in the league. Kyrie McDonald, play at Missouri State for Bobby Petrino. He's still there. There have been so many really good players go on to the college level from Wade Waldrop's James Clemens Jets program and play in the National Football League and very well on the college level. And Jamil certainly following in those footsteps, no question about it. So really looking forward to seeing his journey. And then we found out today Javen Johnson, former Austin Black Bear. We talked to Desmond Phillips on Talking Ball, and Desmond going to bring his team back to the Huntsville City Classic with the Austin Black Bears. Javen Johnson, man, his brother's now arguably the best player on that Austin squad, but Javen is with the DePaul Blue Demons. On the Group of 5 level and Division I level, playing basketball, playing very well. So congratulations to Javen. So it's always great to keep up with the kids. That's kind of why we started this show, the Recruiting Blitz, because we are following a lot of young people in our community, like the R.J. Johnsons of the world that had a great game, had 25 points last night as the Grissom Tigers routed Buckhorn, a really good Buckhorn team with Caleb Holt, another great young player. One of the best ninth graders in the country, probably a top 25 kid nationally. So he's an outstanding player And so, but R.J. Johnson is signed with Nate Oates in Alabama. He's one of the favorites on the short list for Mr. Basketball in our state. He's been a starter at Grissom High School since he was a ninth grader. So we followed his entire career as well. So very proud of him. Had him on Talking Ball to preview his announcement before he committed. Now, we hope to sit down with him at some point in time before he wraps up his career at Grissom and then goes on to Alabama, and sit down and for an extended conversation on the recruiting blitz and just have a one-on-one interview and kind of talk with him about his career at Grissom, what he learned, how much better he got, his expectations for going to the University of Alabama. We hope to have a chance to sit down with him and have a great conversation. So we're blessed to be great friends with his head coach, Jack Doss. Grissom certainly on the short list is one of the top teams in all of the state of Alabama, and especially in the 7A classification, which is the largest in our state. They got a chance to win a state championship, so certainly the Grissom Tigers have an outstanding program and an outstanding player in R.J. Johnson, who had 25 points and 5 assists last night and also I believe 4 rebounds in that game against the Buckhorn Bucks. So he played an outstanding game. It was close at halftime. I believe it was 35-32 Grissom, but then the Tigers poured it on in the second half, and they're very, very difficult to beat at home. I believe they went undefeated in their gym last year, undefeated so far this year. They've got a great environment over there, what they call it the jungle, and they certainly are very, very tough to beat over there, and they got it done last night. And also I wanted to give a shout-out once again to Izzy Miles, his cohort. They've both been really stalwart since they were freshmen. Izzy just scored his 1,000th point, so he is not signed yet. Certainly has accrued some offers, is going to sign late, but that's 2 outstanding players for Grissom who have had outstanding careers. Grissom, like we said, getting the 67-51 win over the Buckhorn Bucks last night. And so, it was and they also, Jack Doss and the program, that was a great moment. I've known Daryl Miles, Izzy Miles' father, for many, many years. Used to work with him, but they presented Izzy Miles with a 1,000-point basketball last night. That's a great moment to recognize him. Earlier in the week, to kind of before this presentation, and when he scored his 1,000th point, Grissom did a great job against Columbia. He had 23 points in that game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. So Izzy Miles has had a great career, no doubt about it. And then to go ahead and correct myself, it was actually 25 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for R.J. Johnson. And so that was his final stat line. Izzy Miles finishing with 16 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, a couple of steals, and then the underrated Justin McCall. Justin McCall is just a junior, but he had 15 points, 2 boards, and an assist and 3 steals for Grissom as they had a big second half over at the Jungle and beat a really good Buckhorn Bucks team. Buckhorn now 8-4 under Patrick Harding, and you will see the Buckhorn Bucks in the Huntsville City Classic. Will not see Grissom this year. They are going to play in a national event over in the state of Arkansas, but they will be back hopefully in the Huntsville City Classic next year, and you'll be able to see, of course, Grissom compete in the one of the toughest areas in the state. When you talk about when they're going to be hooking up with Huntsville, that'll be one heck of a home and away series. Once there was a split last year, and then to the Sparkman Senators, and really Grissom's already gone over to Sparkman and won by, I believe, 22. So anytime you win over at the Capitol that impressively against a program the caliber of Jamie Coggins' group, that's very impressive. So Grissom 1-0 in the area so far, and then of course the Albertville Aggies. So that's going to be a really tough area yet again. Huntsville and Grissom. Sparkman always really good too. Jamie Coggins been there for a decade and reached Final Fours, reached state championship games. So he's done an outstanding job. Dylan Bunnell has taken over for Patrick Harding. That's huge shoes to fill, because certainly Patrick Harding, is the winningest coach in Marshall County history. And I wanted to give a shout out to him. Patrick Harding recently inducted, or will be in June, into the Marshall County Athletic Hall of Fame. He was a great player at DAR, first and foremost, in his playing days. But, again, as a coach at Albertville, unprecedented what he did. I think he's won the most Marshall County tournaments in history. Just the winningest coach there, over 400 wins. And he's doing a great job building the Buckhorn program. But certainly, Patrick, a well-deserved honor being inducted, along with another good friend of mine, a former teammate of my father's at DAR, Lowell Edmonds, also on a team on some teams at DAR that nearly won state championships and and set the stage for a group to win it after he graduated. And he was a great player in his own right at UNA as well. He and Ronnie Stapler were teammates at North Alabama, so certainly Lowell Edmonds, a heck of a player too. And I just wanted to congratulate both of those men on being elected to the Marshall County Athletic Hall of Fame in the recent days, and they will be enshrined, I believe, in June. This June they will be over at the state park over in Marshall County. They will be inducted. So congratulations to them. We're going to be joined in just a few minutes by Keith Niebuhr. It's crazy right now. Auburn recruiting is at a fever pitch because they flipped Connor Liu yesterday, who might be the best center in the United States of America. He had been committed to the Miami Ruiz Hurricanes for many months after Auburn had been on his short list, but he flipped to Auburn yesterday. So a huge get for Hugh Freeze, no doubt about that, as they need to build up their offensive line. Both on the interior and at tackle, just because they're going to lose so many seniors. And if there's a bugaboo stemming from the end of the Gus Malzahn era and the end of the 2 years under Brian Harsin, offensive line recruiting was lacking at Auburn. But it looks like, that it's improving, no question about that. And the Auburn Tigers get Connor Liu yesterday. That was a huge get for Auburn to flip him. And that just goes to show you, these kids haven't signed anything, and so you have to understand that the recruiting gets crazy in the transfer portal era and in this NIL era. You never know until you sign. And so Auburn, they got Tyler Johnson. They flipped from Texas Tech coming out of the weekend, and now they have now flipped Connor Liu, and that happened yesterday. And then they already flipped Deron Reed, but even before they hired Hugh Freeze. That just shows you how crazy it is. Deron Reed from Columbus, Georgia. You've heard Jeffrey Lee, who works with Keith Niebuhr at Auburn Live on 3, talk about it. Reed was at Columbus High School in Georgia, and just over the state line from Auburn, really, less than 30 minutes. And they'd had trouble recruiting at that school, but they were able to get him flipped from LSU. And really right now, he's still their highest-ranked prospect in the class. So he's going to be a big part of the Auburn defense going forward for Ron Roberts. I know they got to be, really excited about that. And so we're going to talk to Keith about, what's going on with Auburn right now. And it's really a minute-to-minute type thing. It's almost like, I'd hate to see his phone. I'm sure it's blowing up. He's getting a lot of intel and just I know that they're super excited right now with where recruiting is going, and Keith's trying to cover it minute to minute, and we're going to talk to him for about 15 minutes or so and get the latest from Auburn. And we appreciate it because we know how busy he is. But wow, I mean, Connor Liu, no doubt about it. This was a big one. I mean, even under Brian Harsin and his staff and Will Friend, I think he was the number 1 center target for them. And so being able to get him, I mean, he's a good enough player where they've got some guys in the program already that are, really are good young centers. But depending on how quickly he can develop, I mean, he could push for playing time as a freshman, no doubt. And Nick Brahms, who had to retire, unfortunately, he was slated to be the starting center, but his body just wouldn't allow it. Nick Brahms tweeting at Connor Liu, saying, "Congrats, bro. Can't wait to follow your career here. Going to be the best 4 or 5 years of your life. I can promise you that." Hashtag WDE, of course, is, as we know, it's War Damn Eagle. And so he's, just congratulating Connor Liu. And so he just, it's a huge pickup for him. And, of course, don't forget, new offensive line coach already making a huge impact, Jake Thornton at Auburn. He came over from the Ole Miss Rebels. They had the #1 rushing attack the last 3 years under Lane Kiffin in the SEC. Jake Thornton coming to work for Hugh Freeze. So already having an impact with a couple of offensive line commitments. And Auburn needs them. Keith has, not minced words. He has told us repeatedly that Auburn was going to have to, both in the transfer portal and both in the high school and junior college recruiting class, Auburn was going to have to explore all avenues. You're going to have to explore the Connor Lews. You're going to have to explore the junior college ranks yet again. You're going to have to explore the transfer portal. Auburn has got to try to rebuild this offensive line and rebuild it quickly. And then, the quarterback position. We're going to ask Keith about Grayson McCall from the Coastal Carolina. They had a coaching change. Certainly, with Jamie Chadwell replacing Hugh Freeze at Liberty. But and could Grayson McCall, I guess, go to Liberty potentially? But I think he also is exploring his options now for at the Power 5 level. And certainly Hugh Freeze and his success with QBs is very attractive. And so we will see, no doubt about it. Keith is, like we said, Connor Lew from Kennesaw Mountain, Georgia. He flipped from Miami to Auburn on yesterday. New additions, as far as to their board, as far as Auburn, as far as hot names. Cornerback Braden Marshall, Xavier Miller, who's committed to Ole Miss as an offensive tackle that I think is going to visit this weekend. G.J. Chester is one of their 10 most wanted. They've been recruiting him for a while from Eagles Landing Christian, where they just got Colton Hood, Rod Hood's nephew. They just flipped him from Michigan State. But D.J. Chester, basically leaning heavily to LSU, and he's been publicly committed to them for a while. So Auburn trying to flip him from LSU, but we'll see if Auburn can flip him. But they would love to flip D.J. Chester. They'd love to flip Keldrick Falk, and I've seen Keldrick Falk play basketball. Highland Home, I believe, reached the semifinals of 2A this year. He's a tremendous-looking physical specimen, Keldrick Falk. He's been committed to Florida State. Auburn been working really under the previous staff and this new staff to flip him. They're going to continue to push him and push hard. He did it. Hugh Freeze was in his home on Sunday for Falk. He's saying all the right things and saying he's going to sign with Florida State. We'll see if that ends up happening. Florida State has recruited him since he was in 9th grade. So we'll see if they can, if they can hold on to him. We'll ask Keith Niebuhr about Keldrick Falk in just a few minutes. And Isaiah Jada, that I was just talking about the junior college avenue. He's a junior college offensive tackle from Snow College in Utah. I believe Keontae Scott was his teammate, who is now at Auburn and had a lot of success. Jada just has decommitted from South Carolina, but we'll see. And he's going to make a last-minute unofficial visit to Colorado as Jada, where Coach Prime is taking over. So we'll see where that goes. But Auburn, still feels like they're in really strong position now that Jada has decommitted from South Carolina. Auburn also waiting on Kayan Lee, a corner from Ellenwood, Georgia, Cedar Grove High School, and that's a tradition-rich power there. He has been committed to Ohio State, but Zach Etheridge, who looks like he's going to stay on and be a part of Hugh Freeze's staff, they are trying to flip him, from Ohio State to Auburn, and that one looks like they've got a really legit shot there. It looks like that, as I told you, the emergence of Lake Mary, Florida corner Braden Marshall. I just mentioned Braden Marshall as a hot target to watch. Auburn feels like they're in strong position with him. And then they're still recruiting Tony Mitchell and Quay Rusaw, James Smith. Those are 3 5-star studs from the state of Alabama. Auburn has not had a great year in state thus far, but they could change that by signing day if they could flip some of these guys, and that's certainly what they're working on and what they're trying to do. Because Hugh Freeze and staff, they've got a lot of needs, and so The transfer portal, they're still going to be very, very aggressive. But they want to finish out this high school class as well as they can. Try to get it probably into the top 20. I think that would be considered a huge jump. And get some impact junior college players like Ajada who could come in and compete and potentially start at offensive tackle, because that's where Auburn is right now. They need more numbers and student athletes on the lines of scrimmage because they've lost guys to the NFL. They've lost guys to the transfer portal, and guys that just were out of eligibility. So the lines of scrimmage had kind of been neglected at the end of the Malzahn era, and then under Brian Harsin for 2 years. So that's going to be building this team inside out is probably going to be the most important thing that Hugh Freeze and his staff can do. There's no question about that. So we're going to continue to monitor this. And of course, Auburn recruiting is going to be, along with Alabama, the two primary in-state schools we are going to monitor very, very closely up until it's about 7 days away, December the 21st. So, again, remember, download the ESPN 97.7 The Zone app because we're going to have recruiting covered nonstop. I know so many of you have downloaded that app. We appreciate it, but those that have not, go to the Google Store, go to the Apple Store. And if you want to follow recruiting on a day-to-day basis, please download our Blitz Sports Radio app. I'm D Squared, Rudy Armin. We'll bring you quality recruiting conversation every Monday through Friday from 9 to 10 a.m. It's going to get crazy in these next several days. So please download the app so you can listen to our streaming channel. And also, don't forget the Bandyman Bailey Lowry, Captain Cool John Abraham. They are going to be covering the world of sports from 2 to 4 on the afternoon Blitz. And they will be covering it today before we all go over to Flow Trampoline Park to be a part of that great Christmas party for our listeners. So, we're going to be having a Toys for Tots drive. We're going to try to fill the boat from Rambo Marine in Hazel Green. So please come out there tonight from 4 to 8 over at, and I know it's wet, it's cold, but it'll be nice and dry inside, Flow Trampoline Park. They're going to give us the run of the place from 4 to 8. So please come out there and support us at ESPN 97.7 The Zone and the Blitz Sports Radio. We're growing every day. We consider ourselves the leader in local programming in our market here in North Alabama, and we hope to continue to grow, and we can only do that with the help of our great sponsors, Talent Heating and Air being the lead sponsor for this. Also, Bubby's Diner going to cater the event tonight. And then just, of course, we wouldn't be here without our sponsors on the air doing what we do and what we love to do, and that's bring you quality local sports talk. We're going to go on a break here on the Recruiting Blitz. When we come back, Keith Niebuhr going to join us from Auburn Live on 3 to talk the latest in Coach Hugh Freeze and Auburn football recruiting next year on the Recruiting Blitz. Stay with us.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
available. When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
As we are here back on the Recruiting Blitz with D Squared, I'm Drew DeArmond. We've been talking Auburn recruiting this morning, and we've been talking Jamil Muhammad, the transfer portal, a local kid in our community headed to Southern California, how crazy the transfer portal can get. But I got to tell you, our next guest, for 15-plus years, has been covering recruiting. He spent over a decade with 24/7. Now he's with Auburn Live on 3sports.com, probably the fastest rising Auburn website in the United States. I don't know if this time of year, I don't know how he even gets a chance to sleep more than 2 hours a night with all of the recruiting intel coming on, and both the transfer portal intel, recruiting intel as far as high school, junior college players, the staff being put together by Hugh Freeze. But we're just always honored to be joined by our next guest, who's going to take a few minutes and join us, and that's Keith Niebuhr to talk some Auburn recruiting. Keith, what's up, man?
No, I'm good, man. I mean, when you watch the movies and they always show a single guy at home and he opens the refrigerator and there's 3-month-old Chinese food in the fridge, that's what my place is starting to look like.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Look, most of the year we're not busy, and I always tell you, man, I love the working man and woman out there. They actually do real jobs. I got an easy job. But these couple of weeks, I've got Gatorade bottles piling up on my countertop. I haven't shaved. I look terrible. But the good news is there's a lot of great stuff to report on. There's a lot of irons in the fire for Auburn. And we're doing our best to get that intel out basically every hour of every day.
Yeah, almost. I was joking when I came on, and only half joking, that it was like hitting refresh and every 15 minutes, because there seems to be new nuggets of intel coming in. But a huge piece of the puzzle, literally and figuratively, yesterday. And, I mean, I know Jeffrey Lee, who's also joined us on this show, you credited him, who he basically had the scoop on that. But to Auburn's top center target, even going all the way back to the summer, Connor Lew, flipping him from Miami to Auburn, that was a huge get for the Tigers.
Yeah, a couple things working in Auburn's favor there. Depth chart, not much coming back at center. Tate Johnson started some games at center last year, but the season was cut short by injury. Other than that, Nick Brom's gone, Brandon Council gone, so the need is there. He could literally come in and push for a starting job immediately, and he's that good. Okay, not a lot of high school guys on the offensive line are, and he is. Forget about his ranking; he's heavily respected.
Yeah,
considered one of the top 2 or 3 centers in the entire country. Going to play in the Adidas All-American Bowl, all that stuff. Another thing helping Auburn is the aviation program at the school. He wants to be a pilot. Well, Auburn's last starting center, Nick Brahms, went through the aviation program and is going to be a pilot at Delta. So, those are things that matter to a lot of kids. Football isn't going to be something they're going to do forever. So he's looking beyond football, wants to be a pilot, loves Auburn's aviation program. And between that and the depth chart situation, Auburn was able to pull off a huge flip. I mean, Miami did not want to lose that guy. Miami's offensive line's been brutal, guys. That's somebody that they really needed. So this is a significant gain for Auburn.
It really was. And then more, we know they flipped Tyler Johnson from Texas Tech coming out of the weekend, so that's a big offensive tackle get. And we know he's going to take an unofficial to Colorado, but a big junior college target they seem to have positioned themselves strongly for.
Isaiah Jada is his name. He's at Snow College out in Utah. One of the more better-known junior college programs in the country. I think Auburn was recruiting a big guy from that program 6-7 years ago, and he ended up going to maybe Utah next, starts for the Denver Broncos. So very good program.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jada was committed to South Carolina, decommitted yesterday, and we had him on commit watch, like any day. Okay, if he's decommitted from South Carolina, that's one part of the equation. Now comes the second part, but lo and behold, he heard from Colorado yesterday and one Deion Sanders, and primetime has got him visiting this weekend. So I think if you're Auburn, you're still feeling good, but that's a little concerning. That's a little concerning. It's something you got to keep an eye on. But again, if it was right now, we'd say he's going to sign with Auburn. I mean, he's got a chance to come in and start right away. I mean, when you look at what Auburn's got, and I'm sure he could at Colorado too, but, in terms of quality of competition and better preparing yourself for the NFL, I don't think anybody would dispute that a situation at Auburn would be more desirable than Colorado right now. We don't know. Also, Deion Sanders doesn't really have a track record yet of player development. He's only been at Jackson State a few years. So there's a lot going on here. But Colorado has made a few moves with Deion in this recruitment. Sorry, I have an echo in the background on your end, I think, and it's
okay.
confusing me here. But no, I think so Auburn's definitely